Hello, this is Demo, and today I'm going to be reviewing a normal skill Abaddon offlane game. Now, first off, to introduce myself, I'd just like to say that I am a 5.3k rating support and offlane player, and I've been playing Abaddon a lot in the past month, quite a few matches on him, so hopefully I'll be able to give you some good advice today. So first things first, we're going to comment on your starting item build. Now for Abaddon, I really like your choices. In fact, this is almost exactly what I do. I get the Stout Shield, Tangos, Healing Salve, Mango, but I usually opt for a stick instead of the Clarity. And the reason for that is because I make Wand very often on the hero. And if you need to, if you're in a bad spot and you need to regen and your shrine is not up, then you can use the stick to create a tree, and if you eat it, you will get double the tango duration. And I don't do that too often, but it does help. Going to clarity here is fine, like it's not super bad or anything. The reason I don't usually do it is because as a Abaddon, you're a melee hero and you don't have any way to really guarantee yourself gold from range. I mean, you can use Mist Coil, but it's not really that great by itself, right? It's a little costly mana-wise, and it's not guaranteed. So that's why I like to go a Iron Branch. But if you're playing really aggressively and you think you're going to use that mana early, then, you know, go ahead and grab a Clarity. Maybe you'll have success with it. Maybe I should try it out sometime. Anyways, let's go ahead and start the match. Okay, let's see what you do when you get to lane here. Okay, you're against a trilane, and Abaddon has some very specific ways how he likes to deal with trilanes, and I'll see if you happen to know what they are. I'll see very quickly from your play. You get bottom by the supports. Okay, you purged off a slow, that was really good. I like that. Okay. Now that's one way to play against the tri-lane. I will tell you the other way to play against the tri-lane once we get further into the laning phase. Right now, I want to see how much that point and shield pays off for you. Okay, one thing real quick. Okay, so you're looking at the wave, and you see that's pushing, which is good. You want it to be pushing towards you. They've got 2 range creeps, so it's going to definitely go to your tower. Now, the thing is, right now, the Wyvern is attacking you, and the Shadow Demon is all the way back here. Now, well, let me see the range. Okay, so you can't see the range on this for whatever, but your, the range on Disruption is like this area right around here, right? It won't let me show when it's paused, but it's right around here. Okay. And Winter Wyvern has a really, really long cooldown on Arctic Burn early in the game. Like, it's 50 seconds, it's not even up yet. So, like now, you want to retreat, but like a few seconds ago, like, right around here, when the Shadow Demon's right here, and the Wyvern's right here, you can just walk up and attack the Wyvern. Like, she has 1 armor, and she's a tiny bit slower than you, and she only deals 41 damage. And even if she used her Arctic Burn on you, you still have the shield. And her Arctic Burn is still really costly. It costs 120 mana at level 1. So honestly, it's kind of a win for you if she does use it immediately, and you have your shield up. The shield is really important in this matchup, particularly. You could have hit her once, maybe twice there, and then backed off, but you just kind of stayed out of range. You can play aggressive as a Abaddon against tri-lanes, not like super aggressive, where you kill them, more like aggressive where you trade regen with them. Like where you force them to use more regen than you would. And if you force the supports to use regen, they have to leave the lane or risk getting killed. And if they leave the lane, you get more experience, and your allies are more safe because they can't, your allies can't be ganked by supports that have no health and mana. You didn't really have to walk back here. Like, the illusions aren't really doing that much damage this early. Like, he wasn't going to do anything with that, honestly. We really should be contesting the pull over here, I think. In case you didn't know, even if the enemy creeps with the neutrals die, you get 50% experience either way. Like, they changed it so that enemy creeps, whenever they're killed by neutrals, they still reward 50% experience in the radius. Neutral creeps will award experience to both teams in the radius, so if it's you and the enemy team in the radius, you'll both get 50%. So that's why it's really important to contest pulls as Abaddon. Again, I don't really know why you're running against this guy. Like, you can stand and fight your ground, dude. Like, they are not going to do anything to you. Like, morphling is level 2 right now. Level 1 waveform does 100 damage, which is, it's quite a bit for a level 1 spell, but it's not too much. And I mean, it also costs 140 mana, which is kind of insane, honestly. And I mean, the Shadow Demon has Disruption, which you'll need to be careful of because it can trap you inside the trees. But other than that, they really don't have much kill potential against you here. The really weak thing about this particular trilane is that they really lack burst. In order to burst you down, they need to have the Soul Catcher on you, and then use the waveform on you. But the thing is, Soul Catcher is actually dispellable. You can read it right here in the tooltip, and that's actually something really important to consider as an Abaddon player. See, one thing I like to do is, because Abaddon is such a flexible hero, I like to pick him really early in the draft. And what that allows me to do is, as the enemies pick their heroes, I can go look through the Dota 2 wiki and see what abilities of theirs are dispellables and what are not. Like, I mean, you would be surprised on what abilities are dispellable. So, for example, Soul Catcher is dispellable. Shadow Poison is dispellable. So, if you have shield up, you're not going to die to 4 stacks or 5 stack of poison, because you can just purge it off and not take any damage from it. All of Silencer's abilities are purgeable. As an example, Dazzle's Ultimate Weave is not purgeable, actually. That's why it's really important to look at those things, because you want to keep this in mind in lane. Like, you want to save your shield for certain uses, such as to if the enemy tries to go aggressive on you, if you're diving a tower, or if you're trying to dispel a certain ability. And this one, you know that you want to dispel both Arctic Burn and Soul Catcher. And honestly, dispelling either one of those skills, especially Arctic Burn, is a big win for you. Like right now, you started with the Clarity, so you're not going to have any mana worries. You should just run this guy and start attacking him, and then if these two guys start to come in, you can back off. There's nothing to be afraid of here. Like, you're level 2, almost level 3. And you also started with Curse of Avernus, so you really need to take advantage of that early. Like, you may have even gotten a kill here, or just forced the Wyvern out. I mean, take a look at what their supports have for items. Like I said, you need to trade with their supports for regen, so that you can make them go back to base. And if you take a look at this Wyvern, you can see that she started with 2 tangos. I don't know if she started with 4 in the lane and took some damage, or if she gave 2 to the mid laner. I can't really tell here. But either way, she started with a lack of regen, and same with the Shadow Demon too. He's got 2 tangos, 2 branches, a windlace. Like, these supports made a huge mistake by playing greedy early and not getting another set of regen like a salve. They really should have started with the salve early, and a great way to punish that is to utilize your shield to make efficient HP trades. A Photic Shield, if you use it correctly, will effectively heal you for 110 health, and also make the enemy take 110 magical damage. Since most heroes have 25% innate spell resistance, that means they're going to take about 85 or so damage from this if it bursts on them. Like, honestly, these two guys alone aren't going to do much to you. You can, like, sit out over here and fight them, and they're not going to kill you no matter what. Like, your creeps are also here. Like, if you had been fighting them here instead of running, you probably would have been making a really good trade.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Playing aggressive correctly with Abaddon is just something that comes with skill. I used to think that as an offlane Abaddon, you would have to play much more defensively, but as I've played him more and more, I found out that you can play extremely aggressive, even against trilanes, like if they're weak. Trilanes just aren't as good as they used to be, because of all the nerfs to experience and gold gain. So learning how to punish that is extremely important and extremely rewarding. You can carry entire games as Abaddon. He's a very rewarding hero to learn, and that's why I love playing him myself. Okay, I'm not sure why you're playing so passively. Like, you got, oh no, those are enemy wards, sorry. I thought these were your wards. But it looks like they're radiant wards. I don't know why they placed it there. Anyways. So I don't think you necessarily need to be playing that defensive. Like, you can sit at the creep wave and get last hits. Like I said, they aren't going to kill you, especially now that you have level 2 aphotic shield. Shield makes you exponentially more tanky the more levels you get in it, because the cooldown goes down by a lot. And higher cooldown, the lower cooldown means you can use it more times in engagements, effectively making the HP trades even better and better for you.
Oh no!
Now you need to be careful because the morphling has so many levels now. He's got a bunch of damage. He has 84 damage right now, 84 base damage. And because you as Abaddon start with very low armor, you're going to take a lot of damage from that, so you'll need to be careful from here on out.
The prize is mine.
And we're into some trouble. She's fine.
Invisibility.
Okay, one thing you should have done here was every time you use a shrine, you want to cast aphotic shield on yourself. It's literally free because, I mean, as long as you have mana to spare, like if you start the shrine and you're going to have an excess of mana that is the shrine's gonna heal you past your full mana point, you should use aphotic shield. And the reason is because you will recoup most or all of the cost back from the shrine regen, and the aphotic shield lasts for 15 seconds. Which means that you can go jungle with that, you can go to lane with that, and maybe bully the carry a little bit. There's tons of things you can do with that. Like, you wouldn't think it would make a big difference, but it's really helped me out a lot, personally. And another thing that you may not have known was, I actually didn't know this before I started spamming Abaddon, but aphotic shield, it always deals the full amount of damage. So right now at level 2, it can absorb 140 damage, but what you may not have known is that it will always deal 140 damage if it bursts. So it can burst by taking 140 damage, or if you use a shield on a hero that already has a shield, or if it times out. So if any of those things happen, it'll burst and deal the full damage in the full 675 radius, which is honestly, it's a huge radius, to be honest. 675 is very large. It's like here-ish, maybe. Very, very large. And like if you use it in Shrine, if you use the aphotic shield, and then you go back to lane, and you start harassing their carry has to back up and try to not get hit by aphotic. They can't hit you back because they're not going to do any damage through the shield. And they have to run, because if they don't, then they're going to take damage from the shield when it expires as well. And even if they do try to play aggressive on you for whatever reason, because you already used shield at the shrine, you're probably going to be very close to having it back up at that point.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I'm also not sure why you left lane. After using the shrine, you should have just gone immediately back. I know you wanted to get the bounty rune, but the bounty rune is not worth losing lane experience for. Lane golden experience will always trump that out of bounty rune unless you absolutely cannot farm safely. And in this situation, I would say it's more than reasonable for you to farm here safely. Like, they're not going to kill you.
The seeds of fortune.
I like how you use the mist coil to get both there. That is something that I do in lane as well sometimes, if you need to get both last hits. Really good technique, especially when you only have 1 point into it, so it only costs 50 mana. And right here, you'll notice that you just start going on the morphling because you have level 3 shield. And he can't do anything back to you, really. Like, he can waveform, but if he does, he's not going to have any escape if you actually go on him. And also, waveform will use a significant amount of his mana pool, which will make it less possible for him to use his shapeshift ability. Like, he won't be able to put as many points into strength because he used waveform. Like, you could have honestly done this earlier. I was kind of waiting to see if you would throughout the laning phase. And see, you have a salve, so you can use salve right now and go back in. And he's actually out of regen other than his Ring of Health. But the thing is, even though Ring of Health, like, you could have honestly kept attacking him there and you would have been fine, because you have level 3 shield. And once you get to level 3 shield, it gets ridiculous, because that's 170 health swing, and it's a cooldown of 8 seconds, which is very, very good. Like, level 3 is just where you start becoming very hard to push out of lane, and you start punishing their carry really, really hard. So I think you could have pressured him more there. But in any case, like I said, Ring of Health, although it will guarantee him regen throughout the rest of the laning phase, the problem is that it takes time. Like, if you burst him down, and he goes down to, like, say, 100 health, he's not going to be able to come back into lane until he has, like, 60% HP. Otherwise, you're just going to bully him out again. Like, he's morphed all the way into agility at this point. Like, you can tell, you can click on the morphling. Like, if you want to tell how much health the morphling has, like how much he's invested into strength and agility, you can just click on him and take a look at his attributes, his base attributes. So, because he can only shift the white numbers, right? So he's shifted almost all of his strength into agility. And even though that makes him have a lot of armor and attack power, like, your shield is more than enough to deal with it.
A gift from the goddess.
Mega Killage.
Like, you could be shielding right now. Okay, and here's the issue. So, one danger when you're laning as Abaddon are people popping your borrow time. So as you get higher and higher with Abaddon, you'll notice that as soon as you hit 6, people are going to try very hard to reduce your health to 400 or lower. And the reason is because that's going to pop your ult. And that means that in the next 60 seconds, you are effectively vulnerable. Well, not 60 actually. When you subtract the 4, it makes like more like 56. But anyways, you're vulnerable for a very long time once they do that. So what I like to do is I like to actually hold on to the borrowed time. I don't skill it until I'm ready to use it. So I'll just bank that skill point, and I'll not skill the 6th point until I'm ready to use borrowed time and I want to use it. And when I want to, I'll click, I have a hotkey set up to learn abilities. I click that, and then I click my hotkey for my ultimate, which is R, and then I'll set to learn it, and then I activate it manually immediately. So you can use that, and I didn't do this until recently, my last about 20 games or so, I would say, and it's actually helped me a lot so far. Like, I was kind of surprised at how much advantage it's given me, because people will now try to go on you, and then when they see you, you know, don't have an ult activated, they may just forget about it, or maybe they do realize you're banking the point or something, or maybe they think you misskilled. But that gives you more control as an Abaddon player, because you can put a point in a skill anytime, even when you are silenced, stunned, or whatever. Imprisoned does not matter. You can even click the icon over that, and it will still level it up. You just want to make sure you have quick reflexes. But honestly, it's not that hard to get used to. And trust me, it will pay off. I have had my life saved just because I did that trick. Obviously, you can't do it for further levels of the ultimate, but it's really nice for level 1. And here's another problem. So, take a look at your build and items. So, you have a mango, you have arcane boots, and you have over 600 mana right now. The thing is, if you go, so you can go face boots or arcanes. These days, I've been going arcanes more, but they're both viable builds, and I might touch on why they're both viable and in what situations later. But, if you go arcanes, you really want to be spamming your shield all the time and just going on this morphling. Because, see, the thing is, even though he shifted fully into agility, he has a lot of armor, but the thing is, he has very low health. So, as you have a level 3 shield, which deals 170 damage, so I'm just gonna pop this in my calculator. Okay, if you use your level 3 aphotic shield and it pops on the morphling, he's going to take 127 damage. That is literally like that's a little like 25%, 25-30% of his health. Like, that's significant. Like, you can just put it on yourself and then start attacking him. And the thing is, because he doesn't have any mana regen items yet, if he tries to morph strength, then he's going to find himself really mana-starved. If you go your arcanes build, you really want to maximize what you get out of your shield. Like, you could have played, wouldn't be this low in health if you had pressured him out of lane earlier, just a couple minutes ago, with your shield. It was totally doable. You could have stomped this lane, actually. You could have forced this morphling entirely out of lane, believe it or not. And here's another issue, like, you should have been paying attention to your Mirana here. You should have TP'd as soon as she was waveformed on by the morphling. Actually before then, as soon as the morphling walked up to her, you should have TP'd. Like, you're only level 6 so far, so you're not going to be anywhere else in the game right now. Like, the Morph literally has 200 health.
Dire's middle tower is under
I'm not
attack.
entirely sure what you're doing, just sitting at the fountain. I'm not sure why exactly you went mid.
Worthy tribute.
Okay, here's the problem. So, it's currently 10 minutes into the game. There's Shadow Fiend. Oh god, does your Shadow Fiend not have a bottle? Oh wow. Okay, anyways. So, their Shadow Fiend is level 7 currently. Oh, you meant max Necromastery first. Okay. You know what I was gonna say is that Shadow Fiend's just gonna spam out all the lanes, all the waves now. But he might not be doing that if he doesn't have a bottle. I didn't realize he didn't have one. In any case, so what you should be doing right now is pressuring the Morphling bot. Like, he's not going to do anything with this. He's half health. He has 235 health. Like, if you were here, and you just put the shield on yourself, and you just started attacking him, there's nothing he can do. Like, all he can do is waveform into you, but then you're going to have your shield back up in just a couple seconds. In fact, I can tell you exactly what you should have done this game. You should have gone a Orb of Venom, and that way, because Morphling is kind of slow already, you get a significant boost in your chasing potential. And every time Morphling comes to wave to farm, you just push him out by repeatedly attacking him over and over and over. And because of your shield, you can make extremely efficient trades with them.
Dire's middle tower
And
is
force him
under
to
attack.
either buy regen or leave the lane completely. Like, Abaddon is one of the best
Double
offlaners
damage.
for either forcing the enemy support to stay in the safe lane, or to force your enemy's carry completely out of lane. Like, there have been, I'm pretty sure I've done this against the Morphling once, but for example, I'm able to consistently zone out Slarks from their lane completely, or force their supports to stay in the lane with him, so that he isn't completely boned.
Autumn comes too soon.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So there is one thing I do want to mention here real quick. Oh, you're building Vlads first, aren't you? Okay. Okay. So even though people play Abaddon as a support, if you play Abaddon as an offlane, you want to keep him in the offlane for as long as possible until you get your first core item up. If you're going an arcane boots route, you want to rush a mech as fast as possible. This means that you buy a arcane boots, an optional orb of venom, depending on the game, a magic wand, and then you immediately rush for mech. And once you finish mech, you can leave the lane. Alternatively, if you kill the tower here and you still don't have mech yet, you can go farm the jungle or farm a lane that's been left by your mid or safe lane. And the reason you want to rush a mech is because early in the game, it's a significant portion of your health pool. So let me see if I can find it here real quick. Okay, mech. So it heals 250 health in a 900 radius. So as an example, your Mirana has 835 health. That 250 heal is about equal to somewhere between 25% and 30% of her health pool. For your Venge, same thing. For your Quap, it's literally a 33% of her health pool. And for your Luna, same deal as the Venge and Mirana. It's a very, very large heal early. In fact, here's a good way to visualize it. So, because mech is not, the mech heal isn't reduced like other forms of damage because it's a heal. So think of it this way. Most nukes in the game deal 300 to 320 magic damage. So, for example, Morphling actually deals 325 damage with his nuke. Now, after magic resistance reductions, that means that most nukes are going to deal 225 to 250 damage in actuality, excluding heroes like Anti-Mage, Visage, and Nepo. Now, what this effectively means is that it's almost like you're erasing a nuke that your opponents used. It's almost like you're undoing a nuke that they used, and that is incredibly powerful early, because in the early game, a very large source of damage that most heroes have is from their abilities, from their nukes. So Morphling, for example, even though he has a bunch of damage from his shapeshift here, a lot of his damage comes from waveform early. If he contributes to fights early, it's mostly going to be from waveform. Winter Wyvern. Most Winter Wyverns max their Splinter Blast first. This deals 340 damage at level 4. Like, you could be completely just removing one of these nukes from the fight, and that can turn a fight all around and make a lost fight into a won fight, or a fight that would normally be equal into a fight that's a stomp for your team. A fight that's unbeatable for your team, actual. And the problem here is that you're rushing Vlads. Now, the issue with rushing Vlads is that, like, don't get me wrong, Vlads is a fantastic item on him, and I get it all the time. But the problem is that it's not good enough to rush immediately. Most games. And the reason for that is because if you go in arcane boots focused Abaddon, which is not a bad thing, it's a very good thing. The issue is most of you're not going to do a whole lot of damage from attacking because you don't have phase boots, and so you don't have as reliable way to catch up to players. So that 10% damage isn't going to help you as much as you think it would. Also, because you have arcane boots, you'll have much more mana regeneration than you would otherwise, which means that the mana regeneration from Vlads doesn't really give you all that much. And in addition, finally, you don't really need the Vlads that badly this early against their team. Like, Vlad gives your entire team 4 armor, which is actually really nice, but it's just not this necessary early. The 4 armor bonus just isn't going to affect your team that much. So honestly, even though I think Vlad is a good item in this game, I would not rush it. I would have rushed a mech, and that would have allowed you to snowball this game. Allow your team to snowball, in fact. And the thing is, although Abaddon is good at diving, he's not that great at being proactive to actually kill enemies. Like, you've got your curse, and that's okay. Like, it speeds you up a bit and slows the enemy down some. But it's not like an actual stun that Venge has, or a nuke from Quap's ultimate or something like that. It's just not as comparable.
A little knife play?
The only thing your mortal can contribute is you might help save an ally from dying, or you might damage someone with your shield or your mist coil. Now that isn't bad. That just means that Abaddon is more of a he's more of a reactive hero when you play him with the arcane boots. If you want to be proactive around the map, then you should be grabbing phase boots, which will give you a speed boost and a phase that will allow you to attack heroes much more reliably. Not that either of those are bad or one is significantly better than the other, that's just how both of them play out. I like that you are pushing the tower though, but again, you are not punishing the morphling. Like, nobody in your team is taking farm from this bottom lane. You could be here, you could be pushing this tower, you could be forcing their supports to all come bottom in order to protect their morphling. And you know what? You're already level 7. So they're not going to kill you with just those 3 heroes. They would literally need to commit a 4 or 5 hero rotation in order to actually kill you. It would just be insane. And the thing is, with good ward coverage, you can see it coming and avoid it.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
So if you're tanking tower like that or something, you need to use shield on yourself beforehand. The reason being because you don't want your ultimate to be activated before you're ready. Like, you need to be real careful about playing around borrowed time, because the minute it gets used is where you start to become vulnerable, because enemies can now go on you without fear of you turning the gang around with it. And now you're like 25% health.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
The great thing about mech is that the components are actually better than what the vlads components gives you, which I think is worth mentioning. So for mech, let's take a look what the components are. So you got headdress, which gives you some aura health regen, which is nice, but actually it's the buckler, which is really amazing. The buckler gives you 5 armor passively, +2 to all tributes, and because you can use the active, you have 100% uptime on the active, which gives you another 2 armor. So buckler itself gives you 700 armor. No, sorry, not 700, but it gives you 7 armor. And that makes a big difference, because as Abaddon, you only have 2 base armor. He starts out with like 0 base armor. And think about it this way, if you had a buckler right now, instead of your Ring of Bacillus, you would be, well actually you might not be able to afford it because of the price difference, or, oh no, you actually have something on the courier, so you would be able to afford it. But if you had a buckler instead of this, you would have, let's see, you would have 9 armor total right now, which is a big difference because, like, take a look at your physical resist. It's only 22% right now. That would push you up to like 35% or something, which is definitely not negligible. It matters, especially because they have SF and Winter Wyvern can both do decent amounts of physical damage. Okay, you're smoking. I guess you're gonna push mid while your teammates go bot. Maybe, maybe not.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower has been denied.
Use that automatically.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Radiant's
sure you
middle
use
tower
that
has been denied.
manually yourself there. And don't get me wrong, using borrowed time manually is actually a great thing. It's something I've tried to make a habit of myself recently, and I would recommend you do too. However, this wasn't the right time to do so, I think. Like, SF wasn't channeling his ultimate, the Prophet wasn't attacking you. You can see Morphling bottom, you can see the Winter Wyvern top. Like, you want to use your ultimate in situations where you're either going to go from like low health to very high health, like whenever SF is channeling his ultimate, because that'll give you a free large heal, or in cases where you need to dispel a debuff immediately, such as for example, let's say you get hit by a really long stun like Beastmaster War or something, and you need to wake up out of the stun to use your abilities on allies to save them from death. Or like, here's a really good example, like if you get ravaged by a Tide Hunter, what you can do is you can ultimate immediately, and then that will wake you up out of the stun, and you can use your aphotic shield on your carry or mid or whoever else, and that will wake them up immediately. So you'll effectively nullify 2 of the Tide Hunters' stuns that way. And those are situations that you would want to use borrowed time manually in. I just don't think it was worth it for this one, especially because it was on level 1. Once you get to level 2 and level 3, you can be a little bit more liberal in how you use it. But at level 1, you want to be really, really careful. And
Radiant's middle tower has been denied. Dire's
yeah, you
top
should have backed
tower
up your
is
Luna
under
here.
attack.
Like, she was clearly staying. Yeah, there was no reason to run. You should have stayed and shielded your Luna. Yeah, you might have been able to save her. Might have been able to save her long enough that the Eclipse would do something.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Like, if you didn't,
Dire's top tower is under attack.
you know, you didn't have your ult, so maybe it was the correct choice. But if you didn't use your ultimate earlier, if you didn't use borrowed time when you were pushing that tower, you could have had it now, and you could be saving the Luna while still guaranteeing that you would live. Like, the Shadow Demon isn't even level 6 yet.
A gift from the goddess.
I think you're being a little too passive here. So you're kind of just sitting around in lane, waiting for your allies to do something, and then you go follow them, like gank mid or whatever, push mid. You're just very passive by yourself. And the issue with that is you have to take advantage of your build. So if you go arcane boots, you want to make sure you use that mana that's available to you. So in this case, what you want to do is you want to go put aphotic shield on and go farm one of these camps. Because aphotic shield is extremely efficient for farming camps. And with just 2 shields, you can take down almost any camp. That's only 230 mana, but when you take into consideration the arcane boots heal 135 mana, which basically refunds 1 off aphotic shield and a partial refund of the second one. When you take that into account, there's no reason not to be farming the camps here when you're just sitting mid doing nothing right now. Like, you could be like 300 gold closer to your Vlads. Or 300 gold closer to a mech. Especially because I haven't looked at this replay yet, but it looks like you're going to be maxing your curse second. And personally, I prefer maxing Miscoil second, but maxing curse second is definitely a viable build. The problem is that if you do max curse second, you want to take advantage of it by farming a decent amount with it. Otherwise, you're just not making full use of the skill. It also just practices your last hitting. Like, you shouldn't be missing any last hitting when there aren't enemy heroes in the lane. Especially when you have Miscoil. That's just a practice thing though, and I'm sure you're probably aware of it.
Haste!
I think you could have gotten that with Miscoil.
My waters rise.
I don't want to make the video too long, so I will try to speed it up a little more to see if I see anything else.
Dire's top
That's
tower. Dire's middle tower has fallen. Dire's middle tower. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Blessings upon a loyal warrior.
Invisibility.
Okay, you're farming some now, which is pretty good. You're missing some last hits though. Which is the only issue with this.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom attack has been denied. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Okay, well I think the rest of this is a stomp if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, it's definitely a stomp. Okay. I guess I'll just go ahead and finish then with some respects to Abaddon. So again, to summarize, you need to play more aggressive in lane with your shield. Shield doesn't really do anything unless you are actively using it to pressure the enemy, because you want to force them to use abilities on you and then debuff those abilities if necessary. So like, the lane you were against is a great example. You can purge off both Shadow Demons and Winter Wyvern skills. Like, especially against a Winter Wyvern, it gives you a ridiculous advantage. Because, not sure if you knew this, but Winter Wyvern's Arctic Burn, because of how it works, it ends up being about... You lose about 30% of your health from where you started. So if you had max health when she attacked you, you end up losing like 30% of your max health, of the health you had when the burn started on you, which is a huge amount actually, especially in the early game. And obviously it scales up throughout the game, but at that point it can really hurt your regen. But the thing is, you can dispel it because you're a ridiculous hero, so you really need to take advantage of that. You needed to stay in lane longer to fight the morphling. Like, you could have pressured him out of lane, I think. I think you could have actually just screwed him over entirely and just forced the supports to come bot. And the thing is, like, so when you play Abaddon, sometimes you do have to be careful about bringing their supports because they can kill you. But in this case, there's no danger. They're not going to kill you unless you misplay. There's just no chance. Finally, for the item build, like I said, I think arcanes is a good choice in a lot of games. The main reason you get arcanes on Abaddon is because you are rushing a mech. And the reason you rush a mech is because of the snowballing it gives you for early fights. However, that's not the only build. If you aren't going mech, for example, let's say someone else on your team is going mech, or you aren't going to need mech in a game, then you want to get phase boots into a Vlads with an optional blade mail first. Blade mail is a fantastic item on Abaddon in lots of games. It is really strong against heroes that are very heavy area of effect. So for example, it's very good against Slark because of his Dark Pact damage. It's very good against Shadow Fiend because of his raises and his ultimate. It's very good against Invoker because it makes him very careful about using his meatball combo. It's very effective against Quap. It's just very effective against any hero with spammable nukes that are area of effect, because you can just walk into the effect and activate Blade Mail, and you've got no worry of dying because, unlike other heroes, you have borrowed time to save you, just in case. Like, if an Invoker casts the Meteor on your team, you can just literally walk in the Meteor, turn on Blade Mail, and then turn on your borrowed time. You get a full heal, and the Invoker will almost kill himself every time, unless he uses Yules or BKB. In addition, so if you go phase boots, you have two choices. After that, you can either go a damage focused build, which will get items such as you'll get phase, you get blade mail, maybe Vlads if you decide you would like it, not necessary every game. And then you can get a solar crest, which is actually an amazing item for both builds on him. You can get a Maelstrom, you can get Echo Saber, you can get Desolator. Really, you can get any kind of damage item you want from this table that you think would add good benefits to you. Like, not Battle Fury, but like, you can get Sanj and Yasha, you can get a Basher, you can get Helm of the Dominator, you can get an Armlet. And the other build for a phase Abaddon is one where you just get utility items. So for example, you'll get phase, blade mail, vlads, and then you will get maybe like a lotus or a solar crest, or you could even get like you could even get Ags. You even get Ags, which is a great upgrade on him, and so on and so forth. Like, there's just lots of options for the hero. He's a really flexible hero, and that's part of what makes him so strong. So hopefully I was able to explain to you how you could improve and what you need to do to perform better in lane as an Abaddon. If you have any questions, just leave a comment here or shoot me a message. Also, if you want to look at my YouTube channel, I do have several Abaddon replays. Well, not replays, but highlights of certain matches that I've played on Abaddon. I have about 4 or 5 listed, but I also have a bunch of unlisted ones where I performed not as great. So if you want to see those ones, I just left them out so I wouldn't spam videos. But if you want to see them, just let me know and I will send you the links for the unlisted ones.